A new sound is rising across Africa. It's not the sound of drums from a distant village or the noise of a busy marketplace. No, this sound is a roar. It is the collective voice of millions of young people who are standing up and demanding to be heard. They are the new generation, the majority on the continent, and they are tired of waiting for a future that never seems to arrive. For too long, they have been told to be patient, to trust their elders, and to wait their turn. But patience runs out when your stomach is empty and your dreams are collecting dust on a shelf. This is the story of that roar. A story of a revolution that is shaking the very foundations of power. Look at what happened in Kenya. Young people, the so-called Gen Z, poured into the streets of Nairobi. They weren't led by a famous politician or a seasoned activist. They were just ordinary kids, armed with their phones and a powerful sense of injustice. They were protesting a new finance bill that would make their already difficult lives even harder. Food prices were already sky high, and finding a job was like searching for a unicorn. So they organized, they marched, and they made their voices so loud that the government had no choice but to listen, even after meeting them with terrible force. It was a powerful message. The youth are no longer silent observers in their own country's story. This same spirit of defiance echoed in Nigeria. In a country rich with oil, many people are struggling just to eat one meal a day. The youth watched as the cost of living tripled, while stories of government excess filled the news. So they took to the streets with hashtags like End Bad Governance, demanding accountability and a better life. In Uganda too, young people tried to stand up against corruption, a problem that steals opportunities from the many to enrich the few. They knew the risks, but their frustration was greater than their fear. They see a continent full of potential, and they are tired of seeing that potential wasted by the generations in charge. The reasons for these protests are as simple as they are profound. It's about dignity. It's about having a chance. Imagine being a university graduate, full of knowledge and ambition, but with no job prospects in sight. Imagine watching the price of bread double in a week, while leaders fly in private jets. This is the reality for countless young Africans. They feel disconnected from their leaders, who often seem to live in a completely different world. The promises of independence and prosperity made decades ago feel like a cruel joke, so they are not just protesting a single law or a single leader, they are protesting a broken system. How did these movements grow so big so fast, and often without a single clear leader? The answer is probably in your hand right now. The smartphone has become the most powerful tool for this new generation of activists. It is their printing press, their radio station, and their meeting hall, all rolled into one. Social media platforms like X, TikTok, and WhatsApp have become the digital drumbeats calling people to action. A single post can be shared thousands of times in minutes, spreading information faster than any government can control it. This technology connects them, empowers them, and helps them see they are not alone in their struggle. In Kenya, the protesters were incredibly organized, all thanks to their phones. They used social media to coordinate everything, from march routes to what to do if you get hit with tear gas. They crowdfunded money for medical supplies and legal aid using mobile payment apps. It was a leaderless movement, which made it incredibly difficult for the authorities to shut down. Who do you arrest when everyone is a leader? This is a new kind of protest for a new era. They are using the tools of the 21st century to demand a government that works for the 21st century, not one stuck in the past. Of course, governments have noticed this. They see the power of the internet, and frankly, it scares them. When the protests get too loud, one of the first things they do is try to pull the plug. They block social media or shut down the internet entirely, hoping to plunge the movement into darkness and silence. This has happened in Nigeria, in Uganda, and in other nations across the continent. It's a desperate move from leaders who don't know how to respond to a generation that they no longer understand. They try to fight ideas with force and information with blackouts, but it rarely works for long. The digital divide is real, and not everyone has access to a reliable internet connection. But the number of young Africans online is growing every single day. They are not just using their phones to chat with friends or watch funny videos. They are using them to learn, to organize, and to build a shared identity as a generation that demands change. They are sharing tactics with activists in other parts of the world, learning from their successes and failures. The phone in their pocket is more than just a gadget. It's a weapon of hope in the fight for a better future. While some young Africans are fighting for change in the streets, others are starting a different kind of revolution. This one doesn't involve protests or hashtags. It involves soil, seeds, and the sun. It's a revolution in farming. For Africa to truly rise, it must be able to feed itself. For decades, the continent has faced a major challenge: how to grow enough food for its booming population on land that is often tired and degraded. Two very different ideas have emerged, and they represent two possible futures for the continent's farms and its people. It's a quiet battle, but its outcome is just as important as any political protest. One path is often called the Green Revolution. This idea is simple. To grow more food, we need to use modern science, which often means more chemical fertilizers and pesticides. The goal is to boost crop yields quickly, to make the land produce as much as possible, as fast as possible. Some African governments support this plan, believing it's the quickest way to end hunger. They are pushing for more investment in chemical inputs, hoping to replicate the agricultural boom that happened in Asia decades ago. They see it as a scientific solution to a practical problem of empty plates and hungry stomachs. But there is another path, a gentler one, called agroecology. This approach looks at nature not as a problem to be solved with chemicals, but as a partner. It's about working with the ecosystem, not against it. Proponents of agroecology argue that the heavy use of chemicals is what damaged the soil in the first place. They advocate for returning to more natural methods, like using compost and manure to enrich the soil, planting different crops together to fight pests, and conserving water. It's about blending traditional African farming knowledge with modern science to create farms that are healthy, sustainable, and resilient for generations to come. This isn't just about being eco-friendly. For many, it's about independence. Relying on big international companies for seeds and chemicals can be expensive and can trap farmers in a cycle of debt. Agroecology, on the other hand, empowers local farmers. It uses local resources to solve local problems. Agri-tech startups run by young innovators are creating apps to help these farmers manage their land better and connect directly with markets. They believe that the future of Africa's food security lies not in dependency, but in building a system that is healthy for the planet and for the people. So, what connects the protester in the city street with the young farmer in the field? It's hope. Both are driven by the same powerful belief that a better Africa is possible. They are not waiting for salvation from outside. They are rolling up their sleeves and building the future themselves, whether it's by demanding better governance or by cultivating healthier soil. The young woman marching for an end to corruption and the young man developing a new biofertilizer are part of the same story. They are both revolutionaries, rewriting the narrative of their continent with courage and innovation. The challenges are immense, there is no denying that. Governments can be brutal, economies can be fragile, and the climate is changing. But the spirit of Africa's youth is proving to be more resilient. They are a generation connected like never before, aware of the problems, but also full of ideas for solutions. They have seen the failures of the past and are determined not to repeat them. They are not asking for permission to lead, they are simply leading. Their energy is infectious, and it is spreading from the city squares to the rural farmlands, igniting a sense of possibility. The political revolution and the agricultural revolution are two sides of the same coin. You cannot have food security without good governance, and you cannot have stable governance when people are hungry. The youth understand this connection intuitively. They know that to build a prosperous house, you need a strong foundation of justice and a full pantry of food. They are fighting on both fronts, demanding leaders who are accountable and creating food systems that are sustainable. This dual movement is Africa's greatest source of strength right now. This is why, despite the headlines of struggle and strife, there is a profound sense of a new dawn. It may not be a perfect, smooth transition. Revolutions rarely are. But it is a powerful, youth-led movement toward self-determination. The young lions are roaring, and the seeds of a new kind of harvest are being planted in the soil. They are fueled by the simple, radical belief that their lives matter and their future is worth fighting for. And that right there is the most inspiring story of all. A story of a generation taking its destiny into its own hands.